Hi class, we're on our second day of 13.3, and actually it's kind of a review of 13.1, 13.2, and 13.3. Histograms, box plots, we're going to learn how to put all of that on our graphing calculator today. 5-number summary, how to find it, all that good stuff. So make sure you take out your graphing calculator right now. We're going to be using it the entire lesson. What I want to do, class, is I want to use Brett Favre's passing touchdowns information, and I want to use Drew Brees' as we go through this lesson. So why don't you guys take out your calculator and put in this information by pressing Stat, and then pressing Edit, and then put Brett Favre's in List 1, so right here, and put in Drew Brees into List 2. So again, as a reminder on how to do that, if you have data in there and you want to clear it, just highlight the list, such as I don't want the information in list 3 right now. I want to get rid of all this. So you're going to scroll where you need to go, and so I'm going to scroll and highlight over list 3 over L3, and I'm going to press clear. Make sure, everybody, that you do not press delete. If you press delete, it'll clear the whole, it'll delete the whole list and not just the information in the list. So if you actually do that, make sure you give me your calculator at some time because I got to program that list back in there. So do not press delete. Instead of press delete, press clear and then press down. And then all of that information is gone. Okay? And then why don't you guys pause the video and enter in the information for Brett Favre and Drew Brees. And the way you do that is if it's 18, you press 1-8, enter. And then you press 1-9, enter. So on and so forth. Do that all. And notice, everybody, I just put 119. Is 119 touchdowns different than 19 touchdowns? I would say so. So you got to be very, very careful to enter in the data correctly because it could really throw off our statistics if we do it wrong. Like 119 touchdowns. Mr. Bergu is not being very careful. You guys make sure that you are careful. Okay? So I would have to press 1-9, enter, and that would take care of that. Okay, so you guys pause the video, put in the information. Now that you have done that, I'm going to teach you how to do everything on our calculator. It's actually a very exciting, I think it's a very exciting lesson because it's so interesting on how our calculator works so efficiently and can really do a good job of displaying our data. First thing we're going to learn is how to sort our lists. So if we go back to our calculator, if you press Stat again, this time instead of press Edit, let's go down to number 2. It says sort A. That means sort ascending, meaning to go from the lowest up to the highest. So if we press enter right here, we got to tell our calculator what list we want sorted. So if you press second 1, that L1 shows up. You can see L1 is the blue number right above. It's probably hard to see, but it says L1 right there, L2 right there, L3 right there. So if we want to tell our calculator what list we want, we would press second 1 for list 1 or second 2 for list 2, so on and so forth. So I close my parentheses, I press done. Now remember, everybody, the first data entry for Brett Favre was 18. Now when we press stat and edit, look how now it's 11. And then 18, 18, 19, 20, 20, 22, 22. Notice how our calculator just put it all in order, starting with the lowest touchdown all the way up till his highest touchdown year. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Let's do the same thing for list 2 for Drew Brees. This time let's do it descending. So let's start with the highest and go to the lowest. So we press Stat. We go to number 3, sort descending, sort D. We press enter. This time we want to do it for Drew Brees, which is list 2. So second 2 to sort that one. Close parentheses, enter. Now when we go to Drew Brees' data, it should start with the highest touchdown. We press stat, we press edit, and look at there, 46 is the highest, and then 43, 39, 34, 34, 33, and it goes down from there. So that can be very powerful if you want to put your lists in order, going from lowest to highest or from highest to lowest. Your calculator can do it in the click of a button. Really quite fascinating. Now let's talk about making a histogram. Histograms are terrible to do by hand. They take a long time, a lot of effort. Our calculator can do it in the snap of a finger. So here's how it works. If we open up our calculator, we'll make a histogram for Brett Favre. So when we graph a line or a parabola or exponential, whatever, when we graph a function, we press y equals, right? when we graph anything in our statistics class, so basically everything in chapter 13, it's going to be second y equals. Okay, those are our stat plots. So we're going to turn them on. If they're all off right now, which I suspect that they should be, we're going to turn them on. Just number 1. So press number 1 and then press enter. And right now it's highlighted as being off. I want to turn it on. So I put my cursor on and I press enter. Okay, now I got to tell my calculator what type I want, and I want the histogram, and that's this one right there. That one's our bar graph for our histogram. So we're going to scroll over to the third one, and then we're going to press enter. Now our calculator is going to make a histogram. We got to tell our calculator what list we want. If we wanted Drew Brees's, we'd press L2. I want Brett Favre's, so we're going to press second 1 to get list 1 in there. And I could make it whatever color I want to. Blue is fine, red, if you want to be crazy and go like magenta, whatever you want, I guess. We'll just do ours in blue. Now, if you press second mode, it gets right back to the original screen. And then here's the best part of all this, in my opinion. If you press zoom 6, bam, no wait, zoom 9. If you press zoom 9, all of a sudden, bam, your data is all fixed. And look at that histogram. Doesn't that look nice, everybody? It's crazy how the calculator can do it that fast. So that's how you make a histogram. One thing that's really nice is that if you press trace right here, if you press trace, now you have a cursor over it. Sorry about that. I got to get rid of the green stuff that I just wrote. Now if you press trace, it'll tell you that from 11 to 16.6, he had 1 year where he had somewhere in between those two ranges of touchdowns. Now if I press over 1, now he had 7 seasons where he had between 16.5 touchdowns and 22. Why our calculator gives these decimals, I think it's kind of silly. I don't know why it does that. But it's very powerful information where now he had 1 touchdown between those 2 ranges. He had a lot of touchdowns where he had more than 27 and less than 33 touchdowns. That's meaningful information to us. So you could always scroll on top of these bars by pressing trace and then just going left and right to seeing what information you want. So that is how we make the histogram. Is there anything else I wanted to say there? I don't believe so. So now everybody, we're going to go on to making a box plot. And we're going to make 2 box plots, one for Favre and one for Drew Brees. So here's how we do that. We're going to go back to our calculator. This time, again, we're going to go second y equals, because we're going to make another graph. This time, it's not a histogram. You can still press enter here on number 1. But instead of the third one, we're going to go over to our box plot, which is the 4th one. So you can kind of see how there's a box plot, and these little dots over here mean that it's going to show outliers. So if I press enter right here, now we got to tell our calculator again what box plot we want for which list. So again, we're going to do it for Brett Favre, so that'll be list 1. And then this mark right here just tells how you want your outliers. Do you want them in a square? Do you want a plus sign? You guys could choose whatever you want to. Doesn't matter to me. Now again, we're going to press second mode because that gets us back to our original screen. And then again, we're going to press zoom 9. Whenever you need to make a graph, you just press zoom 9 and your calculator automatically fits the window for the graph. And look at that, there's your box plot. Doesn't that look nice? Again, you could press trace and look at the power of this. You could be, I already know my 5-number summary. My minimum is 11. My Q1 is 20. My median is 28. My Q3 is 33. And my max is 39. The calculator does it that fast. It's amazing, isn't it, everybody? It is absolutely amazing. And that is how you make a box plot on your calculator. Okay? One thing that we said about the box plot is that you could easily compare several distributions on one screen. So let's put Drew Brees' information and Brett Favre's information on the exact same screen. So again, everybody, press second y equals right now. We're going to keep plot number 1 on. We want to keep this just the way it is. And now we're going to scroll down to number 2. So if we scroll down to number 2, we're going to turn that plot on. So press enter right here. Again, our cursor's on, so press enter because we want to turn it on. And again, we're going to do a box plot, which is already set that way. So that's good. Now my list, this time I want list 2 in there. I've already done a box plot for list 1. Drew Brees' information is in list 2, so I'm going to press second 2 right here. If your data is in list 5, then you'd press second 5, whatever the case might be. And then everything else is good, so I'm going to press second mode. And again, I'm going to press zoom 9. And there are my 2 different box plots. This one right here is for list 1, which was Favre. This, whoopsie, you guys know what I mean. And this one is my second list, which is Brees. So now you can make really easy comparisons. You could say like, well, I could tell Brees had a much lower minimum. Look at where his minimum season is and look at where Favre's is. That's a big difference. You could say, well, their median seasons were pretty close. That's a good observation that you can make. You could be like, Favre didn't have quite as big of a one-year season as Drew Brees did because Brees had a higher maximum. So you can make all these different comparisons just by looking at one box plot on your screen, which is kind of nice. Another thing I'll say about these box plots as well is, again, you could press trace, and now I could look. I'm going to get rid of all this coloring here. I could scroll left and right, of course, and get Q1, Q2, Q3, and then if I want to go down, now I get the information for the next box plot. And you could put 3 on a screen, you could put 4 on a screen, so it's very powerful information that you can do very easily using your graphing calculator. Okay, that is everything I wanted to share about box plots. So, let's see what else we have on here. Finding the mean and standard deviation. We haven't really talked about this yet. This is going to be tomorrow's lesson, but I wanted you at least to know how to find it. And it's very simple. It's actually the exact same steps as the 5-number summary. So to do that, we press Stat. This time we want to calculate the mean and standard deviation. So if we want to calculate something, we go to the right one, over to the Calculate menu. And again, it's going to be number 1, variable stats. So we press Enter. And if I want to find the 5-number summary for Brett Favre, I'm going to press Enter right here. And the mean, which is another way of saying the average, is 26.74 touchdowns. And then the standard deviation is this one right here, 7.84. I'll tell you what that means after a little bit. And then, of course, our 5-number summary is at the bottom. We can do the exact same thing for Drew Brees' data. If we press Stat, go over 1 to calculate, number 1, Enter. This time, instead of list 1, we want second 2 for list 2. We want Drew Brees' 5-number summary and standard deviation with the mean. So now if we press Enter a few times, go down to calculate, and the average for Brees is 27.9. The standard deviation is 12.67. And then the 5-number summary again is at the bottom. Okay? I believe that's everything that I want to show you in your graphing calculator at this point. It's a very powerful tool. The better you get at using your graphing calculator, really the more powerful you are at analyzing and interpreting this information.